Well, welcome back to Life's a Wild Ride. We are now going to start on the cabinet in the bedroom here. So you can probably see on the floor, there's a line taped off. That is the bed. It's a queen size bed. We have not built that yet, but that's going to be on this side here, and it's going to pull out, fold. It's all in my head, believe it or not, along with a lot of other stuff. But I have a design plan of what I want to do, but I'm still working it out overnight when I wake up, and so I haven't built that yet, because we want a queen size bed, but it's gonna fold into a couch, so we want it out of the way if we want to sit there. But I don't want to buy anything because you're in a unique space. We're gonna have a little bit of room on each side for little end tables for us to put our phones to charge. That's why I have the power ports on both sides. But it's going to come all the way to here. So it leaves a very narrow cabinet over here. And we won't be able to get into some of that when the bed is out, but that's okay. It's going to give us a lot more storage space, and we'll have a top on it here that will have a TV or a computer, so if we want to either sit in bed and watch it or sit on the couch over there and watch it. But anyway, that's what we're going to get into today. We haven't really put a lot of thought in how I'm going to do this yet. I got a few ideas. But that's what we're going to tackle, so stick around. We'll kind of show you as we go. It's a few days later, but I'm still working on this shelving here. And sorry about the fan noise, but it's hot in here. It was 90. I got the fan on, and it's finally cooling down a little bit. And I'm using pegboard for the shelving because we're going to be putting baskets in here for the most part, I believe. That's what we're thinking for like light clothes, socks, underwear, things like that. And then like utility type stuff like electronics, cables, wires, and I was going to do all kinds of dividers, and I figured, you know what, we'll just put 4 doors in here, and the door will open up all 3 sections, and we'll have baskets that slide in, and we can just slide the baskets out for whatever we happen to want to use. So far that's what we're thinking at the moment, but that could change. So I got these 2 on here, I got the trim board on down here, and now we just got to work on the top part here. And that's going to be that really wide board that we'll sand down and finish up. So we're just going to keep putting away. So I'm working on the top shelf of the cap of that cabinet in our bedroom, and I talked about this board briefly in a couple other videos. So this is I guess more of the sentimental piece of wood that's going to go in the bus. As many of you probably know, my dad passed away this past January. But for years, this wood has been stored in one of my buildings over here, and he kept saying he wanted to take it down and plane it and make something out of it because it came out of the house he grew up in. And I'm sure this green paint on here is lead-based paint, so I'm going to be very careful of that, and we're going to get all that removed. But these boards are very old, and you can probably see in the video here the knots where the boards have worn down, but the knots are raised. So I might lose some of that, so I'm going to probably run this through the planer. It's too bad, but it's just the way it is in order for me to get it cleaned up good and ready to use. It's not quite wide enough for the shelf, so I think I'm going to bookend it with some either tiger maple or some other type of wood. I'll put a strip on this side and a strip on this side over here, kind of like what we did with the countertop that's still not finished. So that's probably what I'll do to make it wide enough for what we need. So I'm going to cut it to length, rip off a strip, a little thin strip on each edge to give me a nice, finished edge here that I can glue to. And then we will do that, and eventually this will go in there as the countertop. So that's what it looks like now. Once I get it all cleaned up and run through the planer, I'll show you what it looks like. So yeah, these boards are probably 200 years old. The house that they came out of has been in our family for about a little over 100 years. And the house dates back to 250 plus years. So it's been around a long time. So we'll put this one rustic board. I'm going to finish it up and put a nice finish on it, but this will be a tribute to Dad and the fact that he never made the time to make something out of these boards. So maybe I can find use for a couple more of them, or maybe my brother might use a few on his bus. But anyway, that's what we're working on right now. To give you an idea how uneven these boards were years ago, I've run this thing through at least 4 or 5, maybe even 6 times, and you can see now I'm finally just getting down here. Now, I'm not actually, let me correct myself, I don't think this board was that uneven when it was produced. I think it's from years and years of wear, of being walked on. I mean, decades after decades, because you can see where it's finally, you know, the knots didn't wear down, so those are finally getting hit now. But the painted area has been worn down and repainted probably over the years. And it's just, yeah, it's just taken a while to get down to an even playing field. But it's pretty. I don't know what kind of wood it is. It's hard as hell. It's really making my planer work its butt off, because it is the full width of 12 inches. So we're getting there. All right, well, this board is proved to be one tough piece of wood. I've run it through probably 10 more times. I can only turn it a little bit at a time because we're dealing with the full width of the planer, and it's hard wood too, whatever it is. I didn't think it was not very heavy, but it's working my planer hard. So much so that I just stopped because it actually overheated the planer and went off on reset, so I gotta let it cool down a little bit. But I've been running it one after another, you know, continually running this thing through full width of that thing, really working its butt off. And I'm down to just this little patch here, and I might run it through a little bit more, and might even actually leave a small patch here with my wife's permission, and then poly the whole thing, and that little green patch will be kind of a reminder, but we'll see. Not really a look we're going for at all in the bus, but I think that might be the least I can do to another thing just to remember Dad by, I guess. Anyway, let's get this thing done, hopefully soon. Yeah, one last thing. I actually caught my shirt. So always be careful when you're using power equipment. So as I was pushing the board, my shirt got caught between the board and the table here, and tore my shirt wide open, so I guess that's the end of this shirt. Anyway, let's get back to planing. Make some progress here. I got some tiger maple on this side, and I think, I don't know if that's red hard, or I'll have to ask my buddy Bob. I can never remember what this stuff is called, or babinga. Anyways, it's a very, very hard wood, and so is the tiger maple. And then we have this in the middle. And you can see I left just a hint of green here. We'll sand this all down and then put a clear coat on it. And that'll be kind of our one rustic piece on the bus. So just got to make a cut over here, and then we'll put it in place back there. Well, and get it in there. I just got to do some trim work on the edge over here on this side, and other than that, it's looking pretty good. So we made this front piece the dark wood to really give it, you know, really some contrast. And this stuff is really, really solid, so it won't chip away or anything easy like that. Bumping into it, walking by, setting stuff, dragging things off. That stuff is hard as a rock. So we've got a little overhang here, and of course we have our cabinet fronts in place. And that back one may not pop as much because this is light wood too, but that is tiger maple. So, but anyway, just really need to sand it all down now, and then put a clear coat on it, and it'll be complete as far as the top. So again, oops, I almost fell down. Making some progress. It's looking good. So now, I mean, obviously we got all the doors to do, and I'm, you know, still some fine tuning. But as far as that, the bedroom, other than trim work up there, and doors and a bed, the bed structure, other than that, it's done. Well, because we have other trim work to do, of course. I guess it's not done. I'm just hopeful. Big stuff is done. We're down to just a little trim work. And when I build the bed over here, the back of it will have a strip on top that, kind of like a windowsill, but it'll be a very little overhang, so it doesn't interfere with when this is set up to a couch. You know, you don't want to be leaning against something sticking out. So when we put a board on here, it'll probably overhang just maybe like a 1/4 inch or something, and you'll never even notice it with all the cushions and pillows. So other than that, this is what it's looking like up here. We got that. Got these cabinets here, and because that's the garage area, and this cabinet. Because we saw we got this trimmed out last time, but we're getting there a little at a time. So I guess I'm going to close this video out here for this cabinet. Like I said, all that's left is to sand it down and put a nice good clear coat on it. That should really bring out some of the color. And then, as I said in an earlier video, this winter I will make doors for all the stuff in here. There's no sense doing that, making these doors in the summertime when we can be out here on the bus building this stuff. So that's the plan. That's where we're at. Thanks a lot for swinging by. Life is a wild ride.